Welcome everyone to the first round of the 2006 NFL Draft. This video will just be the first round, and the next video will be a showcase of each team and where they drafted and what positions they focused on. But here you can see the top 20 of the 2006 first round draft order, with Seattle going number 1 all the way through Buffalo at picking number 20. Let's go ahead and get this draft started with the first overall pick. The Seattle Seahawks select defensive end Mario Williams. This is a big surprise as Williams is the best player available, but they desperately needed a quarterback after the failing of Matt Hasselbeck and David Green. Mike Holmgren should have or maybe could have taken a Vince Young or a Matt Leinart, Jay Cutler with this pick, but decided to go with the most talented prospect. The Seattle Seahawks did sign David Garrard in this offseason and likely using him as a bridge quarterback. We see them pairing Mario Williams with Troy Polamalu, first round pick about 2-3 seasons ago, who was a former defensive player of the year. So the Seattle Seahawks really bolstering their defense with this pick. With the second overall pick, the Oakland Raiders select tight end Vernon Davis. So the Raiders in this selection have decided to pass on a quarterback. I mean, they did sign Kerry Collins from the Cleveland Browns as kind of that journeyman quarterback. They did not decide to go with wide receiver Santonio Holmes, but they decided to go with maybe one of the most talented offensive weapons here with Vernon Davis. They do have Willis McGahee and Derek Ward at running back and decided to pass on playmaker Reggie Bush. But this is an interesting pick by Oakland. We'll see if Vernon Davis can truly uplift this offense here in Oakland. We now have a trade alert here. The Detroit Lions move up to take the third overall selection from the Houston Texans. We can see the breakdown of this trade. Houston receiving the 9th overall pick, the 41st overall pick, and a next year, 2007, 5th round pick from Detroit. Detroit moves up about 6 spots there to get the 3rd overall selection, and they also receive a next year 2007 7th round pick from Houston. Let's see who Detroit picks with this 3rd overall selection. And the pick is in. The Detroit Lions select running back Reggie Bush out of USC. Yes, they do have Jones, who is a good running back for them, but it looks like Detroit decided to go with a playmaker here on the offensive end, wanting to trade up in order to get him, giving up their 2nd round pick and their 5th round pick their 2nd round pick this year, 5th round pick next year. We see Detroit adding more playmaking ability. They got rid of Joey Harrington. Matt Hasselbeck is their quarterback currently. They decided not to go with one of the top quarterbacks. They could have traded up for a Vince Young, but decided to go with running back here. They do have many playmaking wide receivers from Troy Williamson and Rodgers, but they decided to go here with sort of a great receiving back, running back here with Reggie Bush. And with the 4th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys select quarterback Vince Young out of Texas. 4 years ago, they drafted Byron Leftwich with the 4th overall pick. And here they go with another quarterback trying to restart. The new head coach, John Harbaugh, wants a fresh start here in Dallas, getting rid of former quarterbacks like Byron Leftwich and Kyle Orton that was drafted last year, Brad Johnson. They did sign Jeff Garcia, so Jeff Garcia may start this season. Maybe Vince Young gets a chance later this season. Or if a preseason battle takes place, Vince Young could be the starter in his home state, in his college state of Texas there with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see if he can turn that franchise around. And now we have a mega trade coming in. The Cleveland Browns have traded out of the 5th overall pick. And let's break down this monstrous trade. So this is a 3-team deal that's being executed where the Buffalo Bills are receiving the 5th overall pick from the Cleveland Browns. New Orleans, 11th overall pick in this 2006 draft, and a New Orleans 2007 4th-round pick. What they are giving up is former Super Bowl champion quarterback Drew Bledsoe to the New Orleans Saints. The Saints also pick up a 6th-round pick in the 2007 draft from Cleveland. And Cleveland is trading back from the 5th pick to the 20th pick, with also the accumulation of Buffalo's 2007 1st-round pick, as well as New Orleans' 2006 5th-round pick this year. So we can see right now that the Buffalo Bills have decided to move on from their veteran quarterback who had taken them to the playoffs for several years straight, but had decided to move on because they have somebody in mind here to take on the reins as quarterback. We will see who they pick here in a moment, but we see Drew Bledsoe now getting a chance to be in the NFC for the New Orleans Saints, replacing J.P. Losman as the starter there in New Orleans. And we'll see if Drew Bledsoe can be that veteran leader to win that division and maybe bring a Super Bowl to New Orleans. With the newly acquired 5th overall pick, the Buffalo Bills select quarterback Matt Leinart. So they decide to move on from Drew Bledsoe to get almost a decade younger in quarterback, Matt Leinart from USC. We'll see if Matt Leinart is able to keep Buffalo in that playoff run as they are competing up against Tom Brady with the Patriots, Alex Smith with the Jets, and Steve McNair in Miami. But they do get younger here to compete in the AFC East. And with the 6th overall pick, we see Washington selecting linebacker A.J. Hawk, the 2nd defensive player off the board here, going number 6. Probably one of the best defensive prospects in this draft at the time. Looking at Mario Williams coming off the board first, A.J. Hawk is going to provide Washington with some very much so needed depth and power on this defense. With the 7th overall pick, we see the Denver Broncos selecting offensive tackle D'Brickashaw Ferguson. This is an excellent pick for them as they had the emergence of a late-round pick, Derek Anderson, taking the starting job away from Brian Grease. They have decent wide receiver options and weapons, and right now they need to make sure that that blind side is protected. So the first offensive lineman, probably the best offensive lineman prospect, being taken here at number 7. And with the 8th overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Ernie Sims, linebacker. Here they're trying to help rebuild that team in a very competitive division between the Colts and the Titans. Even the Texans have some potential. Jacksonville has been kind of the underdog team there. They have an overhaul at quarterback with David Garrard leaving and Chad Pennington taking the reins there. They easily could have gone with Jay Cutler, but decided to take more of a BPA approach to this draft and help their defense. For the 9th overall pick, the Houston Texans select inside linebacker D'Amico Ryans. A real-life pick here. Houston needed a bump on defense. D'Amico Ryans solves that, and in doing so, they picked up that 2nd round and I believe the 5th round pick from the Detroit Lions and are still able to get their guy, a top 10 caliber defender there with D'Amico Ryans. With the 10th overall selection, the San Francisco 49ers select defensive tackle Haloti Ngata. This is an excellent pick for them, helping their interior defense in a competitive division with the St. Louis Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. They have Michael Vick to contend with, Marshall Faulk, a lot of powerhouses there, and Haloti Ngata is going to be a dynamic fit for the San Francisco 49ers. With the 11th overall pick, the Buffalo Bills select Tamba Hali. This is an excellent second selection for the Bills, who acquired two first-round picks here in the first round. Again, the 5th overall pick from Cleveland, giving them the 20th overall pick this year and their first-round pick next year. And then this was the pick that was exchanged for Drew Bledsoe from the Saints. So they were able to get their quarterback of the future and a prominent defensive prospect in this first round. With the 12th overall selection, the Carolina Panthers select free safety Michael Huff. They desperately need help in the defensive backfield, and here they go taking Michael Huff, an instant starter instant stud, and we will likely see a lot of success there for him there in Carolina. With the 13th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Nick Mangold. Definitely a need for the Cardinals is to get some offensive line help. Nick Mangold may have been picked a bit high here, but the Cardinals wanted to make sure they got some interior linemen to help support their running game, to help block for Michael Vick, and just providing more infrastructure on their front five. With the 14th selection of this year's draft, the New York Jets select tight end Mercedes Lewis. They got rid of Anthony Becht to the Cincinnati Bengals mid-season last year. Definitely need some help there in the tight end department, and Lewis is going to fulfill that very well to give Alex Smith, the sophomore quarterback, another receiving threat, as well as a better blocker for them in the run game. With the 15th overall selection, the Baltimore Ravens select running back Lawrence Maroney. After losing Jamal Lewis, they still had Chester Taylor. They had Warwick Dunn, the veteran from the Atlanta Falcons. But really, they need some more firepower in the running game. And I believe Maroney is going to give them that next first round pick caliber running game. And we'll see if that is effective moving on in the future. With the 16th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select strong safety Dante Whitner or Dante Hittner. Right, we see the Steelers filling that void at strong safety. They did sign Rodney Harrison a few years ago, but the man's aging. They ended up going with Terrence Newman instead of Troy Polamalu a few drafts ago, and now they're filling that void at safety that Dante Whitner is now going to fill. A very strong prospect here, leaked out of the top 10 at number 16, and the Steelers took advantage. And with the 17th overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select cornerback Antonio Cromartie. Another good pick for this draft. We see the Falcons deciding to polish their defense. They definitely need some help there. Arguably, they could go for an offensive weapon, an offensive player, but they do have Crumpler. They have Larry Fitzgerald, Kelly Washington, but they have Marion Barber at running back, but they decided to go defense here, which I think is very wise for them to do, and we'll see how Cromartie shapes up this Atlanta defense. With the 18th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins select outside linebacker Bobby Carpenter. So here they go, trying to rebuild what was once a very solid championship caliber defense. Definitely need some help there with linebackers and pass rushers, losing Jason Taylor this offseason. With the 19th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select quarterback Ty Hill. Another cornerback, another defensive back coming off the board here in the first round. There are plenty of quality defensive backs here, and the Buccaneers select Hill to give them that boost in their defensive backfield. This is a team that is very close to making the playoffs. The NFC South is incredibly competitive there with the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, and the Buccaneers are trying to get over that hump and consistently make the playoffs each year. They made the playoffs last year, but not by much. A very narrow victory and a quick playoff loss. With the 20th overall pick, originally held by the Buffalo Bills, the Cleveland Browns select linebacker, pass rusher Cameron Wimbley. This is a real-life pick the Browns selected, and the Browns desperately need linebacker and defensive line help. Really, any of these pass rushers could have gone to Cleveland, but I decided that they would go with Wimbley because of the realistic need, and the pick here makes a lot of sense for them. So here we go, Cameron Wimbley joining the Cleveland Browns. With the 21st overall selection, the Minnesota Vikings select outside linebacker Chad Greenway. Yes, there are many linebackers and pass rushers in this draft, and I decided to let the Vikings select Chad Greenway, who was an original pick. He makes sense here. The Vikings are a playoff team in probably the toughest division in this reality. All three out of the 4 teams, the Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings, made the playoffs, and the Lions were 7-10 in their division. They need as much depth and powerhouse hitters in this division, and Chad Greenway is going to help Minnesota tremendously. With the 22nd overall pick, the Tennessee Titans select Roman Harper, the strong safety here, Alabama. In that competitive division, pass defense is essential, and Roman Harper is there to fill a desperate need there with the Titans to help their defensive backfield. With the 23rd overall selection, the Chicago Bears select DeAngelo Williams, running back. This is an excellent pick for them because they have an aging Corey Dillon that they acquired 3 years ago with Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon is still pumping and doing his thing, but they do need to invest in some younger options here. Corey Dillon, a good veteran running back, a top 10 running back, but Williams is going to give them that youth and power they need in the backfield. With the 24th overall selection, the San Diego Chargers select wide receiver Santonio Holmes. This is a pick to help the sophomore quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who was able to take away the job from Drew Brees, who was traded to the 49ers. They had Marty Booker as a wide receiver. They had Richie Caldwell. They had Kevin Johnson. But they really needed to get youthful here, get some fresh pass-catching options. And Santonio Holmes, being the first wide receiver off the board, is going to the AFC West to be paired with Aaron Rodgers in San Diego. With the 25th overall selection, the Green Bay Packers select quarterback Jay Cutler. This is a move where last year in real life they would have drafted Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers went very early in that draft. And so this is the Packers getting their quarterback of the future to develop behind Brett Favre, who's like a 35-year-old quarterback right now. So in Madden, we have no idea when Brett Favre will actually retire, but Jay Cutler right now looks to be the heir in Green Bay. With the 26th overall selection, the St. Louis Rams select running back Joseph Adai. Marshall Faulk is still on the team, and he is aging and getting older, and the Rams need to find that next replacement. They did not get Steven Jackson, who was in last year's draft class, as the Dallas Cowboys selected him very early. But we see here that the Rams go with Joseph Adai to give them that youthful running back to help transition off of Marshall Faulk. Will likely be the guy moving forward. With the 27th overall selection, the Cincinnati Bengals select outside linebacker Manny Lawson. Again, the Bengals were a playoff team, Carson Palmer with a lot of weapons on that offense. The Bengals knew that they needed to polish their defense, take the best player available, who happens to be Manny Lawson. With the 28th overall pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select cornerback Jonathan Joseph. This is a pick where, again, there are so many strong defensive backs. The Chiefs need to become that championship team after being the number 1 team in the AFC, led by quarterback Eli Manning. Now Dick LeBeau needs to help polish that defense. Dick LeBeau was the head coach of the year last year, and so they need to get even sharper, and Jonathan Joseph will help with that. With the 29th overall selection, the New England Patriots select defensive tackle Broderick Bunkley. Needing some help with that defensive line. Again, the Patriots are drafting based off of filling their roster needs. Their cap space is so limited because they have so many talented players. So right now, the biggest need they had was that defensive tackle position. They do have Warren Sapp there, who is still that veteran presence, but they're going to need extra depth at D-line, and Broderick Bunkley will provide that. With the 30th overall selection, the Philadelphia Eagles select offensive guard Davin Joseph, getting one of the top-tier offensive linemen here. They weren't able to get Mangold or one of the tackles, but they were able to get Davin Joseph to help that pass blocking and run blocking of their team. With the 31st overall pick, the New York Giants select offensive guard Deuce Lutui, another offensive guard going back-to-back picks here. The Giants, again, not many holes they need to fill. Matt Schaub did an excellent job last year being a top 4 passer with Terrell Owens, Tiki Barber, Jamal Lewis, getting the infrastructure of their team, taking one of the best players available to help them with that run blocking, with that pass blocking, and that offensive line is a good selection here as they failed to win the Super Bowl but made the Super Bowl. With the last pick here in the 2006 NFL Draft, pick number 32, linebacker DeQuell Jackson going to the Colts. Again, Colts went best player available. Jackson went in this early second round in real life, but with the need for linebackers, there are only so many quality ones, and the Colts wanted to make sure they landed their guy, and that guy is DeQuell Jackson. And there you have it, the first round of the NFL Draft. Another video will share the overview of all the selections by each team.